Good morning. It's, I believe, Friday morning now? Friday morning. It's about 7:15 in the morning. Had a rainy night last night. The rain started about 10, maybe 15 minutes after 6 and continued probably until after midnight. Got a little cold, not as cold as I thought it would be. Doesn't feel as low as the 20s like they were predicting. I had water, didn't freeze. At 7:14 now. Got the stairs coming up, the staircase coming up probably in like less than half a mile. So that's going to be a little challenging. I stayed here with one other camper last night. You can see their tent over there. We spoke briefly, mostly about equipment. Quiet, cold night. Sleeping bag worked well, tent worked well. The only thing is, actually I was very warm, too warm in there. I had to keep opening it up to let some heat out, which unfortunately lets a lot of moisture out into the tent. Did have a lot of condensation. I am right by the river, as you can see back there, so it's extremely humid here. So there's a lot of moisture in the air, and with the rain, obviously, that didn't help either. So other than that, gonna finish packing up. Waiting for the tent to dry a little bit, hopefully, but I think I'm gonna have to pack it up wet, and we're gonna probably get going. So it's gonna be a short day, probably 10.9, because there's no campsites for several miles, and I need to cut the mileage short, give my feet and my body a chance to rest. The only thing is, I basically have like about 27 miles left to go. If I only do 10, that means I'm looking at a 17 or 18 mile day if I want to finish in 5 days, or I could decide to stop and split that up, or I might do something like do a lot of mileage tomorrow, maybe 10, 12, 13, and then just leave Table Rock Park for, I guess it would be Sunday morning, right? So I'm confused about my days, but it happens when you're on the trail. I forget. This is my 4th day, I think, right? Around mile marker, probably 54, 55, something like that. I'm gonna try and make it to basically almost mile 60 today, 59.9 or something like that. It's supposed to be a campsite there. It's the last campsite on the map before going to Sassafras, and I met another hiker going the other way. He said there's another campsite closer, but I'm not exactly sure where it is. It's taking a chance. Well, it's 1 o'clock, and I just reached the campsite that I was aiming for, but because it's so early, like I've been doing most of this trip, I'm just gonna keep going. The next camping site is 6 miles away, and it's past Mount Sassafras. So I'm basically going to double my altitude in the next 6 miles. It's 1 o'clock. I'm hoping if I can do 2 miles an hour, that means I'll be there by 4. Anyway, I'm gonna push on. I'm gonna try and do the 6 miles. That'll be a 16 point something, almost 17 mile day. I think I can do it.